It's interesting, the roles I've been asked to play since I came to London are all sort of larger than life, and I guess that's kind of what I do. Certainly with Satan, I would say that the common denominator between all three of these, Satan, Frankenfurter, and Billy, is that the show gets rolling, there's a lot of exposition, we find out what is the area that we're looking at, and about 20 minutes in, my character comes in and says, okay, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be the engine, I'm going to drive this thing. So it's a rather large responsibility sometimes. The tempo of the show rests on your shoulders, but it's also thrilling. It's exciting to be able to have that kind of power to steer the show in the direction that it's going to go. Billy is challenging in the sense that he talks a lot. And if you look at the other shows I've done, most of them are 99% singing. In Jerry Springer, I never spoke, it was all sung. Same thing with Frankenfurter, he has very little dialogue but a lot of singing. And in this show, he's a lawyer, so he's got dialogue and monologues out the wazoo, and they're very fast-paced, silver-tongued monologues where you have to know what you're saying and bum, 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 bum. And it's causing a bit of a brain blip for me because I haven't had to do quite that much memorization in a lot of years. And it's also just vocally taxing. You know, to holler out in that strong way for 2 hours solid is, it's a lot of work, but I like it. It's good fun. You know, I am a bass baritone and probably more of a bass than anything. I've got a whole lot of low notes, and when they called me in to look at doing the role, he has to sing up to a high G and hold it up there for a long time. And so I'm having to learn to sing in a completely different way, probably closer to the way I used to sing before Jerry Springer, which was open your mouth and holler and squeeze really hard and hope that it gets there. And once I started doing Jerry, my training shifted to become extremely operatic, because obviously you have to have an operatic sound to do a lot of the Satan stuff. So when I came in to do this last song, the end of Gun, he goes up to this high G, and I was hitting it in a very legit way. And they said, can you just sort of open it and broaden it, because there's nothing legit about Billy. You know, he's a street guy, he's a thug. Well, there's no denying that Broadway is the center of show business. And so it is a very business-oriented thing to take on in New York. I had found for myself that I was reaching the point where the joy and the love of the craft was becoming second to the business aspect of the work. And that was sad for me. I remember a time when I was in show business because it was my passion and it was what I had to do. And it became about paying the rent and surviving in New York, which is very, very difficult. And so there is a difference between that arena and the London stage. In London, I think we still sort of lean towards the artistic bent of the work. And that's really refreshing. You know, when I went to the National, I remember being in rehearsal and looking around and thinking, this is what theater was meant to be. This is what we were all told it was going to be when we were 20 years old, where everybody from, you know, the prop master here and stage manager there to the lead actor was there because they were passionate about their work. You know, even into their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they were there because they loved doing it. And I was surrounded by this atmosphere at the National Theatre here, and I thought, wow, this is how it was meant to be. There are a couple of things I do for myself to keep me on the rails. Obviously, my social life takes a significant shift when I get into a show. Really the time scale of my day, you know, completely tilts. Rather than getting to bed at midnight, I'm often getting to bed by 4 in the morning when I'm doing a show, because you're just so hyped up by the end of it, and you go out to dinner with friends or people who've come to see the show. You don't even get home sometimes until 2 in the morning, and then you've still got to settle down before going to bed. So I try to sleep a bit later. I'm extremely aware of water. Water is your friend. I go to bed drinking water. I wake up drinking water. That's a big part of keeping your voice. But you know, someone was asking me last night over dinner what things I do just before the show that prepare me. And I find that my environment is extremely important to me. There are guys who hang out in a dressing room that is stark and sparse and just has their makeup and what they need to get on. I do the exact opposite. The first thing I do when I get into a dressing room is decide how many pillows I need. We can redo the curtains. I want to get some soft lighting in here. I need glasses for champagne for guests when they come back. I want it to feel like another room in my home. Because when I get to the theater, it's a part of my pre-show to just relax and think, this is my spot, this is where I get ready, and I'm about to do the work that I love best. Do you know what? I discover the longer I stay in this business that the rules mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. The times I have been told when you're going up for a role, you dress in character, you do your hair the way you're supposed to, you do all of the homework behind the words so you know exactly where you're coming from when you get in there. I have done so much prep for auditions and lost the job, and then gone back for the same job, and this show is a perfect example, gone back for the same job 2 years later, dressed in scruffy jeans with a beard from 5 days, my hair falling in my eyes, and the kind of attitude like, you know, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Here's what I do. Let me know what you think. And boom, my agent gets a call. We'd like to offer David the show. So rules about auditions, I've been throwing them out the window lately. And it's crazy because I've spent my life being told the opposite. And it's all about the preparation and making sure they see you in the role. You know, it just comes down to, are you there at the right time? Do you have what they're looking for that day? And it may be different from 2 days before. It's all a matter of luck. You've got to do, of course, the preparation on your talent and your skills. And you've got to be mentally in a place where you're ready to give as much as you can without fear. I think fear has held me back so many times. The fear of looking foolish at an audition, the fear of being able to show too much of myself and letting someone in. You know, you've got to just do whatever exercise you need to let go of that. With regards to people starting out in the biz, younger people who are looking at how to make it, you know, the truth is none of us really know. It's a lot of times a matter of luck that we got where we've gotten. But there's two things that I like to share with younger people, and the first is to do your homework, to learn as much as you can. And it takes reading when you don't feel like it, and it takes watching things that you're not particularly interested in, but will color your knowledge. Your knowledge of the world will color what you're able to give to your work. So, you know, be a sponge, take in everything you can. And number two, quite frankly, don't be a dick. And I know you'll probably have to cut that, but I have discovered through my years, it's so easy to be a person that is not someone others want to work with. I've made a lot of mistakes and I've made a lot of enemies in the early years, and it's been a gentle and slow progression, but I think the main thing I've learned is that you can be a loving, kind, generous person in everything you do. And when things start going badly on stage, in rehearsals, and your temptation is to scream and yell and throw a fit and show everybody how powerful you are and how you can make a difference and shift things, throw that out the window. The best thing you can do is to have a kind, quiet word and say, this isn't working for me. How can we take a look at fixing this? You can do everything with love. Do you know, I'm a little bit nervous about what the near future holds. And the reason for that is, as I said earlier, the industry is shifting so dramatically. We've become a culture that is so celebrity driven. And I'm trying to maintain the integrity of what I do, to do the kind of, the kind of shows, the kind of film, the kind of television that inspires me, that I can get behind. But the truth is, these days, unless you do even a tiny stint on Strictly Come Dancing or Dancing on Ice or one of the zillion reality shows, you're not as much of a household name, and you need to be to do the kind of work that I want to do. They've been looking at me for this role, Billy, in Chicago, I don't know how many years now, 7 years, and it's always been a question of, can we find somebody just a little bit more famous? They may not be as good at the role, but they've just come off of EastEnders, and we know they're going to put bums on seats. And that is the nature of our business. It is celebrity driven. And so it frightens me a bit, but I have a feeling I may have to journey into that genre sometime soon. Who knows? I was doing Holby City. I did Holby City for a little over a year, on and off, and I played Dr. Carlos, and he was a slick guy, a well-dressed plastic surgeon from Miami, no less. And that was great. You know, again, it was a great character, and I saw the power of television. I only did it for a very short time, but you know, we had a 9 million viewer base at the time. And in a week's time, when my first episode aired, I was suddenly going up and down the escalators in the tube and finding person after person pointing, going, oh, that's the guy, that's the guy, that's the doctor. People stopping me on the streets to talk about the storyline and how can you do that to Trisha and blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. I mean, TV reaches everyone. And I should have known then that it's something to keep in the hip pocket. It's something to keep going all the time because it does facilitate the ability to do what I want to do. You know, Chicago is, it's already considered a classic in the musical theater genre. It has so many things that we look for today when you go see theater. You want to see people that are larger than life. You want to see beautiful people. You want to see something that's got exciting music and great choreography and interesting staging. It's got all of that. It's got a great story that you end up, you know, you end up really embracing the characters and caring about whether they make it or not. And I just think it's all around fun, you know, it's great fun. When I came in to watch it, as I was preparing to go into the show, I sat there just smiling night after night thinking, I can't believe I'm going to be a part of this. Really, really exciting. It's a good show.